hello, good day to everyone and everyone who will be listening to this wonderful, wonderful podcast. Hello, everybody. It's your one and only Martin Del Rosario. All right, let's move on to this wonderful, wonderful podcast for today. And I would like to introduce this wonderful family here. This is the TEAtro podcast. And of course, my fellow theater scholars would like to introduce themselves. Let's start with our first contender, Sam G.
Hey, it's Sam G, the one and only. What's good? What's good?
Let's have our next one, Isa.
Hello guys, I am also here. This is Ysabel Suaybaguio.
Let's have our next one, Ethan.
What's up, everyone? It's Ethan here. Hello.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Let's move on to Sam D. Hello, Sam.
Hello everyone, I'm Sam D. Yes, hello.
Let's move on to our next one, Darcy. Let's go.
Hi everybody, this is DRCY Darcy over here.
All right, let's move on to our last two. Pia, let's go.
Hello mga kumare, good day sa inyo. This is Sis Mars Pia. Hi!
And last, of course, but not the least, Joaquinito.
Ayo, good afternoon, guys. My name is Joaquin, or Joaquinito. I don't really mind what you call me.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for introducing yourselves to the TEAtro podcast. All right. And so for today's podcast, I think it's best to pour yourself a nice cup of tea, for we will be tackling the royal family, specifically Princess Diana in Diana the musical. Well, if you haven't watched it, we suggest you do, since it's just in Netflix and it's free for all. All right. So, and to just give you guys just a brief introduction, I would love to give y'all a short and wonderful introduction. All right. So, and with that, let's now start. So, just a short disclaimer to all that this podcast is just a commentary to Diana the musical. So, basically, Diana the musical is basically a musical that is about the life of Princess Diana Spencer from the time she was being courted by Charles until her untimely death. That's basically it. That's just for my introduction. But of course, as much as we want to explain this musical to you in detail, would anyone like to share a brief summary on it?
I would like to give a brief summary for that, Martin. Thank you very
All
much.
right, let's hear your thoughts.
Diana the Musical is, as self-explanatory as it is, a musical dedicated to Princess Diana. The production incorporates a theatrical twist to the life story of Diana, played by the ever-wonderful Gianna de Vol, where she ascends into royalty when she marries Prince Charles, played by Ro Hartranft. They later find that their relationship progressively crumbles as Prince Charles is caught in an entanglement with Camilla, played by Erin Davey, while Diana lives in a constant state of insecurity and misery. Charles's infidelity and resentment towards Diana pushes her into relentlessly chasing his validation. But it's not long until she gets fed up and steps up to the plate in fulfilling her true purpose, to become the people's princess. Diana experiences media scrutiny, as well as archaic standards in which she inevitably rejects, but she develops charm and wit, becoming a media sensation and etching legacies onto social causes such as AIDS. With a title to uphold, she rises above pressure and embraces herself as the rightful Princess of Wales. Due to the coronavirus outbreak, Diana the Musical had to postpone its opening. However, a filmed Hamilton-style version is made available to stream on Netflix. The play was filmed without an audience at the Longacre Theatre and features the original Broadway cast. Diana the Musical is back on Broadway, with 2 weeks of previews before its official opening night back on November 17, 2021.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ethan. Wow, I didn't actually know that they are actually in previews at the moment. I thought they were actually opened. I thought they already opened in Broadway. But all right, let's move on towards the middle part, or should we say the main event of the main event? Sorry, your main event of this podcast, which is gathering the thoughts of all the members. So let's hear the thoughts of our members who would like to start on giving their comments about this musical.
All right. So, hello, Darcy here again. Actually, I wanted to put the members' thoughts to the music of Diana the musical because it's very interesting how they created it, where you can already see from the get-go where the foreshadowing of Diana's downfall was already actually after the prologue by Underestimated. You could already hear from the music, your prison has been built, your downfall's been devised. They minimize your thoughts, they maximize your flaws. So it's already there. Like it's already smack dab in the middle that, oh, this is going to happen to her. And for the people who have no idea what happened to Diana, in real life, not in the musical, you can already tell how it's going to take a lot of toll on her and how it's going to end her life. And I think it's very interesting because I think that part in itself, they only describe like the outer or like the third person point of view of what happened to her. And the rest of the music includes what could have been or what was she was thinking when that whole sequence of her from getting proposed or when Charles proposed to her, from getting married to giving birth to William and Harry, and you can see like the divorce afterwards, and all that sequence turned into like what would have happened if she was alive today and she was able to share her thoughts about how it was being pushed into the royal family life smack dab in the middle. Next to that, music is the worst job in England. Once again, foreshadowing of how the ensemble, again, pointing out that this job is the worst. This job is, of course, not going to be good for another person, most especially a birthing woman. And you can already see another music afterwards, Snap Click, which is the ensemble's part of being paparazzis, where they were the ones who raised the problem, but they're also causing the problem. So in the end, the both of them could have been, or the ensemble could have been the root of the problem as well as caused her depression and bulimia because of the pressure of the media. Right after the worst job in England is This Is How Your People Dance. And this is where Charles and Diana's first, I wouldn't say date, but I think this is their like fourth time meeting from what I remember. But this is when you could clearly see the difference of a guy who is in his 32 and a girl who is in her 19 at age. So the differences of how they interact with music, of how they expect one another, that fairy tale expectation has always been holding Diana by her foot, and she can only think of how she can change him, how she can fix him or whatever. And it's that idea of naivete that will cling on to her the rest of the musical, well, up until the second act. Next up to Snap and Click is Whatever Love Means Anyway. And you know how this is when Charles was asking his mom, the queen, that this woman is not the woman I love. And do you have any advice of how I could digest this most probably? And the queen is like, I mean, this is your responsibility. I can't really tell you what to do. Just love her, just be faithful to her. And boy, is that, Anyway, so that fairy tale expectation from Whatever Love Means Anyway is being held here, that like a chokehold almost, that they wanted this to actually happen and they wanted this to be a prolonged thing. But of course, Charles has other plans. And by the time after Whatever Love Means Anyway is I Will, the marriage song between Diana and Charles. And from here, you can already see the start of Diana's doubts of, oh my gosh, she's seen the dress that she's about to wear for her for her wedding later on, she was like, "Oh my God, I will look so big. I will look so terrible." And by that, it turned into like this "I wish" song that she will gather her courage enough just so that she could hold that responsibility of being the princess. And after that is, of course, the world fell in love. And you can already see how, um, even with Diana's doubts and Diana's unsureness of how she will step into the royal life, she, beginning the revolutionary act of being humble and being kind, turned her into this woman that the world fell in love. And so, as the song goes, the world fell in love with her as she stepped out of the plane. And that revolutionary love turned into the song she moves in the most modern ways. Imagine how being kind, being humble, and being humane is an equation to, a movement. That this woman is the first of its kind in the royal family. Like, she's one of us. She's this amazing woman who can just hug people without censor, without fear. She can reach out to other people with, empathy. And after that song comes Happiness, Simply Breathe. And this is when the doubt and the depression starts to set in. Because of course she gave birth to William first time. You have an heir, but Charles is asking for a girl, and that burden of being, I gave you everything. Childbirth is painful. And the fact that oh gosh, the fact that he could just say, "Oh dear, what a job well done, but can you give me a girl the next time?" It might have took a toll on her to the point of killing herself off. And that is like the harmful part of being the heavy burden of having that big of an expectation from you. So after that is Pretty Girl, which is this revolutionary transition of Act 1 and Act 2, where Diana finally saw that she just have to be herself. Like, regardless of being down and regardless of being depressed, the clothes that she wear, the accessories that she puts on herself made her her. And that made her into someone who is not naive anymore. She knows her affair. She knows the affair that her husband has. And this is where I think she rised out like a phoenix, that she's a completely different person, and I could be as logical, and I could be as transparent, but at the same time humble and kind. After that is Here Comes James Hewitt and Him and Her. Secrets and Lies in the main event. This whole sequence is about Charles and Camilla's affair and how Diana confronted it with having an affair of her own. James Hewitt is this kind of new perspective to Diana, although it was very short lived. It's this very short opening for her that, oh, she can be young again. Oh, she can be in a different life again. James Hewitt could be a father that Charles never were. And that thought kept on coming inside her head, and she thinks that she could change anything. But up until now, you could clearly tell it was too late. And after that sequence, the words came pouring out. This is where Diana explodes. And the whole sequence of her saying the depression, the bulimia, her experience with the royal family, how Charles treated her this way, how the royal advisors were advising her to be this way. And of course, the toll crawled on her shoulders, and it rise up to, her being an independent woman now. And after that, the press, final revenge, and showing up in something like a fuck you dress, where she could clearly tell, and she could clearly give the media that she's over with Charles. And this is how she can gain her sense back. She can gain her femininity back. And after that, If Light of the World. It's so fast that he became this legendary woman after the divorce. She could have done so much. And after that, the car accident happened, and it could have been. It felt like her life got cut short, and that's basically all of the music in the musical.
With Darcy's thoughts, she definitely basically dinaan, hinimay-himay yung nangyari sa Diana the Musical and also relating it to the real life situation about Diana. And actually, there's this one song that reminded me of Diana's life or the musical per se. So this song is called Diana by One Direction. So as we know naman na ever since naging involved si Diana sa royal life, hindi na siya nilulubayan ng media. Like just by simply going outside, laging may media na nakasunod sa kanya. I even watched this video. I'm not sure if it's from, I forgot kung saang source ko siya napanood, but like it's Diana having a great time of her life, and then yung mga photographers, they keep taking photos of her without her consent. I don't know, it's just sad na ever since ayun nga naging involved siya sa royal family, she couldn't live her life the way she wants yon. So in relation dun sa kanta ng One Direction, merong lyrics doon. The very first verse, it says, "The front pages are your pictures, they make you look so small." So, ayun nga, just like what I've mentioned earlier, yung most likely ang reference ito is si Diana. It's like she's hiding behind front pages, and it's like she's wishing that she looked like the people on the pages. And nagkaroon sa point ng buhay niya na kino-compare niya yung sarili niya and tawag nito with the media na yung mga mata nila nasa kanya. Parang doon tumataas or like doon mas nararamdaman ni Diana na, I have to be this embodiment of perfection so that people would not judge me anymore. But hindi ganun yung nangyari. And yung na-mention nga ni Darcy, no, of Diana being a mother, it's like she was forced. Well, not really forced, but of course required to fulfill the mother role at an early age due to the needed repress. Due to this, she needed to repress her other needs and wants due to her involvement in the royal family. So kung napahinggan niyo yung kanta na I Will, honestly, nasad ako as I was listening to it because she had to change herself just so ma-impress sa kanya si Charles. And with that, honestly, it's kind of unhealthy for her kasi you're changing because you want people to love you, to like you. You're not changing for yourself. So that palang parang red flag na yung red flag na yung involvement niya. But like, and then what else? Ayun, since the British life nga, it's very traditional, nagkaroon siya ng effect sa growth ni Diana as a princess and of course as an individual. So, nabanggit ni Darcy yung mga yung sa bulimia, yung mga bagay na ginagawa ni Diana just for people to like her. And ayun, ayun lang. Joke lang. But ayun, going back to Diana by One Direction, merong part dito na sabi na, Diana, let me be the one to light a fire inside those eyes. So, kung titignan natin how Diana was, it's like she's left with nothing. So, she's struggling, and it's like nothing makes her happy because ayun nga, all eyes on her. And parang through this, it's like a reminder from the boys of One Direction na aware sila sa nangyayari kay Diana. And ayun. Actually nga nung nirelease tong Midnight Memories album ng 1D and Diana, inisip ko parang bakit out of all the names na pwedeng ilagay nila, bakit Diana? Imagine 11-year-old Pio was thinking of that. But anyway, ayun, tapos nung nalaman, kung nagkaroon na ako ng context about how Diana's life was like in the royal family, dun ko na naintindihan na, baka maybe it has something to do with her life, kung bakit ganun yung title ng One Direction. Saka going through the musical din, I would say na Princess Diana is a really strong individual. It's just that she left the world so early, but she left a remarkable path. Not really path, but she left this remarkable history of about her life and how empowering her experiences and stories are. And yung meron pang empowering scene doon sa musical wherein she visited yung mga tao na diagnosed with AIDS. People were shook nung nakipag-shake hands siya dun sa mga na-diagnose ng AIDS. Biglang, uy sis, sure ka ba dyan? Bakit? Hindi ka ba madadapuan ng AIDS din dyan pag shake hands mo sila? Pero ayun, na-empower ako doon because the way she used her platform as a princess, she used it to help people and to give them hope na it's also a reminder for them na just because you have AIDS does not make you any less of a human. Doon talaga sobra akong na-touch sa gesture ni Princess Diana, and her willingness to help people is amazing. I honestly felt so inspired by it. And yeah, those are my thoughts for Diana the musical. And yan, thank you very much.
I remember down the scene na nung nalaman nung everyone yung kagagawa ni Charles. Nung everyone. Parang nung sinabi nung naiinis na si Charles, sabi lang ni Queen Elizabeth na to not blame her but to tame her instead. Kasi parang in the succeeding scenes, parang naalala ko sabi ni Queen Elizabeth na si Princess Diana yung unang umamin. Pero originally, dati pa siya nangyayari. So, alam niyo, yung courage na Princess Diana had to open up about the royal family, it's really not against their image, diba? Siraan yung image ng royal family. So, ayun, parang Queen Elizabeth was the only one who understood her. Kahit sabi niya, kahit hindi naman na-feel ni Princess Diana, but there was a scene na tumatak sa akin na they had the heart-to-heart talk na. So, ayun, just the responsibility Princess Diana had to not go against alam mo, hindi niya sinundan yung sinasabi sa kanya. There's just a lot of responsibility that a princess had. Pero, alam mo, she's just 19, dude. She missed a lot of her development as a person, as a teenager, diba? Yun.
Give her a break.
From the start pa, diba? From the start pa lang, iba na yung taste ni Princess Charles tsaka ni Diana na music. Gusto ni Princess Diana rocker yung magiging rocker si Prince Charles, pero trip niya talaga classical music. So from the get-go, there's just a lot of contrast and differences nilang dalawa.
I would just like to add something. One thing that I'm not sure if I was listening properly, but I think one of the more interesting parts is the fact that they mentioned that Diana was a big fan of fantasies. I forgot the name of the specific writer that the books that she read, but I find it interesting and a little ironic in a way that she maybe, just maybe, always wanted to live just a little bit of that fantasy. But given that, again, that she's a 19-year-old who instantly got tossed into a position that has to be incredibly grounded and incredibly controlled by the people around her, that she wasn't exactly able to live that fantasy. Actually, in the play, I feel like it was mentioned over and over again. Charles kept asking her, like questioning her, like, "Oh, is this just a fantasy to you?" Something along those lines. But the reason why I pointed that out was that it just adds more to the fact that it's very taxing to a 19-year-old. Actually, they aren't allowed to do what they want to do. Throughout the play, we learn that Diana isn't exactly like your ordinary princess, but Diana was just a particular person who was very out there, very in love with rock, Elton John. And I find that it's really tragic that she wasn't able to do what she wanted to do, even though she and her family had maybe like a lot of power, enough power to actually allow her just a little bit to live that fantasy. There's a movie that came out recently called Spencer, which I haven't watched yet, which explores Diana. It takes place within 3 days and explores like the kind of household Diana lives in. And from what I heard, it's very harsh. Like, imagine being a 19-year-old and just being dressed up by other people just to eat food on the table, always being hidden from the outside world to avoid the press as much as possible, and just being harassed by the press in general. I mean, I'm 18, and just thinking about that really, God, it really stressed me out also just thinking about it. But that's all I really wanted to add, because I just wanted to add that fantasy talk and how taxing it could be to someone that age, and how it could eventually lead to, I guess, self-destructive behaviors and all that stuff. But I think we should move back to the musical itself. And Samji, would you like to talk about the musical itself?
Oh yeah, sure. Actually, like when you mentioned that, like you're 18 and then thinking about what Diana's going through, it's like most of us are 18 to 20 and we're already stressed with college.
Exactly.
What more? We're
True.
a royal family. It's like, iyak na lang, Mars. But anyway, ayun, so in terms of like the musical, I would like to talk about the spectacle and the characters as well. Spectacle, wow, big word. Ano kaya yun? De, Google nyo, char. It's basically like how the musical or play was executed. Oh, ayun. But anyway, so the spectacle no is as we all know, it is filmed in a Hamilton style, like basically it was recorded in a theater, and it does take away that lively element of theater, with the audience there, with sometimes even the live reactions that you get. But of course, since it was filmed during the pandemic, it is quite understandable naman. And not gonna lie, it was able to capture some moments because in Diana the musical, especially in the part on where she was suffering bulimia when she was in the hospital, there was a scene on where she punched the mirror, and the way that was executed quite struck me, since it's like kuhang-kuha talaga yun emotion na yun in that sudden rage, and then realization, oh wow, like I did that, I did this action, and it's quite, who is this really me? Anyway, moving on. The set pieces, they were I was quite interested in the set pieces, as they were able to capture the different surroundings of the different events that happened in Diana's life, from when she was introduced to Prince Charles by Camilla, and to the point on where she even to the point of her tragic death. No, there is one set piece in particular that really caught my eye, which was the movable rails that had lights. No, these are actually rails that lit up, and this was interesting to me because this set piece, they were usually used in scenarios and where it involved the public, or the common folk, and how they would say it though, because it's like it's telling us that the audience, no, they're basically the audience, or that the public eye, they were somehow also the highlight of Diana's story, since they always had their eye on, the royal family, or even Diana herself. It's like kind of scary feeling that that you're such at a high position that you think na, oh, everything is fine, everything is gonna be all right, but no, you have like the public eye look at you, and the fact that the light comes from the bottom and it's like shining the lower portion of the face, it gives that somewhat eerie feeling that we're always watching you and all that. And lastly, the costume changes. Can I just say the costume changes?
It was so good.
It was super
It was so
good.
good.
Amen.
Yes.
And like the different,
It was so fast.
yeah, it was so fast. And
Yeah,
what's
right.
this? They had like they really, Diana herself really had a lot of costume changes, and I appreciated that, because it really showed how Diana went from a traditional royal family style clothes to her own taste, since she had to repress her own wants when she first came in the royal family. But now, as she grew, she started to own her individual self back and all that. And yeah, it just really highlights Diana's growth as well in the story, as well as the revenge dress. This was the revenge dress is what Darcy was pertaining to as the fucky dress earlier. Am I right, Darcy?
Yes, it is actually.
Yeah, the black, the classic black
The
dress.
off the shoulder,
Mm.
feeling, what do you call this? Like side cloth. I don't know what kind of
Yeah.
style is that, but it was cool.
It
Chiffon.
was so, yeah, chiffon.
Fun.
Chiffon. Yeah, yeah. Kaya kung if your ex has like a dress like that, tumakbo ka na. But anyway, moving on to
Okay
the
po, noted.
but moving on to like the music, no. Just as Joaquin mentioned earlier, Diana was really in love with the mga rock songs during that time, Elton John, Queen, and all that. And there were some songs that used like an 80s style rock, which I appreciate, because ayun na nga, it didn't just reflected, like Diana's personal taste in music, but also like it gave like a somewhat accurate musical representation history wise rather, because Diana was pronounced as princess at around 1980s, probably 1981. And 80s music, 80s rock, horsehair, cross-dressing, and all that, all the fun stuff. And moving on to the characters, no, specifically Diana's id, ego, superego, viewing this from in a somewhat psychoanalytic lens. For Diana's id, no, this was when she just crashed the party, I think it was a birthday party, the birthday party of Charles and Camilla, because it's a
Birthday party of Camilla's sister.
Oh yeah. Birthday party
Yeah,
of Camilla's sister. Thank you, Darcy. And like the way kasi that I see the id, ego, super ego, the id is like the devil on your shoulder, and super ego is like the angel. And it's like, it's a way of this action of Diana was like a way of, just I'm owning like my place. Camilla, you better know your place, and all that. And she even like had an affair with James Hewitt. Uh, she even had an affair with James Hewitt, though, which was also considered her id. Well, considering that Charles even had an affair with Camilla throughout, throughout his whole marriage with Diana. So she's like, so what if my own husband has an affair or has like a third party, behind my back all along? Why not add a fourth one to the party? So James Hewitt and all that. And of course, next we have like the ego, which was I saw Diana's ego with just, her just enjoying, the, or quote unquote enjoying the classical music on her date with Prince Charles, no, during that time. But however, inside her mind, yun na nga, parang she was fantasizing of turning Prince Charles into a rocker and all that, to just being able to, parang in a way na influence din niya si Prince Charles, like, hey, these are the things that I like, and I think that you'll like them too, and all that. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, no. And it's just basically Diana. Just in a way, I saw her ego as something na at the beginning, rather. It's like, she's innocent. She doesn't know what she's doing. So, kung ano yung sinasabi ng royal family sa kanya, ayun, sinusundan niya. But of course, that changes throughout the whole musical. And lastly is her super ego, no. This is where, in the later parts of the musical, this is where Diana was like, she really wanted to volunteer in charity, to donate, and even visit patients who were diagnosed with AIDS during that time, no. With this, I also appreciated Diana as a mother, because even though that there is a complicated relationship between her and Prince Charles, in the song, just I forgot the song, pero it's where Charles and Diana were dancing, but Charles was just saying, no, no, let's not talk, let's just dance and look professional in the eyes of the public, no. Now, even though masakit yung ginawa ni Charles kay Diana, Diana still updates Charles about their kids, their children. Because they're technically, Charles is still their father, and syempre, yung mga bata, they still need their dads in their life. They still need both their parents in their life. And she even offered Charles, like, even though that we're not in the best terms, let's just be the best parents for our kids. That's what I appreciate about her. And of course, si super ego din niya is parang in the earlier part of the musical, is her during her wedding day. It's like, despite me being so unsure about everything that's happening, I will still try. I will still try my very best, because, she thought that she quote unquote loves Charles, but what does love mean anyway in that musical? But yeah, that is it for me and what we saw in. That's it for me and for the group, what we saw in the musical. And Martin, would you like to add anything else or something?
I would love to. I would love to. But of course, before me, I would like to call si Isa muna, because I'm pretty sure she would love to say something about this wonderful Diana the musical.
So for my thoughts on Diana the musical. So at first, okay, let's watch this musical eh. So I watched it the first time and I was thrilled because it is a modern storytelling about historical events or a life of a person. So at first, I really loved it. And then second time watching, me and my group mates had to dissect every part of it. So that was extremely hard because, of course, you can't sing along. You can't sing along to the songs. You need to properly understood every lyrics, every intonation that was mentioned or that was done in the musical. So that was really hard. But as soon as we were going through the musical, we started realizing that there were heavy parts of manipulation in Diana's part. I mean, she was basically groomed to be someone that Charles wanted her to be. Charles wanted her to be just this public figure and just do nothing. So I felt that Charles just needed an arm candy. Could say that. Because he really loved Mrs. Parker Bowles. So it was evident that Charles did a lot of manipulation. And not only Charles, but also the Queen. But we can never really blame them because, first of all, they were brought out that way. And it was just a cycle of that entitlement because they were royals. So that sets them apart from Diana because Diana was more of a people person, I think, because yeah, she worked in a kindergarten. She was an assistant for how many years, and that is a gap between Charles, the Queen, and Diana because the two parties had a different upbringing in life. So yeah.
Ayan, okay. Thank you so much for that, Isa. I mean, that's I can say all I can say is pure facts. Thank you so much for that, Isa. So, it is now my time to say my few words about this wonderful musical. Well, let me just put this as like a summary as to what I learned and heard in this wonderful podcast. So the one that took me that took me by surprise was when Darcy talked about every single song in the show. Because not gonna lie, there are hidden meanings to the songs, and happily Darcy talked about them. Maybe I didn't hear one of them, but then I'm just saying that amen sa'yo, Darcy. Not
Iba
to
talaga
Sophie.
kapag Darcy Vales eh.
Darcy lang malakas.
I am-
Woo!
I am speechless po. Ayan. So next one, let's move on. The writers were not afraid of what people will think about the show, or what people will think about, I don't know, or what the Diana supporters will think about the show. I know that they just wanted to show what Diana was all about. They wanted to show her young side. They wanted to show her rock side. They wanted to show how youthful she is. He also wanted to show how she takes everything seriously and does not take a joke for anything else, especially to Prince Charles.
That
Oh my
is
God,
true.
to you.
Also, ano, to
Okay.
add lang, like,
Yes.
to add, like, I think one challenge that the writers had was really to tell the story as authentically as possible. Because, like
Yeah.
the history of autobiography films, plays, or musicals, most of them are sugar coated, but I do appreciate those who really research on like the story of that said person and to be able to show it, creatively. And I like what you said about, showing Diana's youthful, rebellious side because, she always had to be prim and proper in the eyes of the public. But, prim and proper.
Like the fact that this, you get to see like this is the behind the scenes per
Yeah.
se. It's not like the 100% accurate of her life or the royal family's life as of Diana entering the royalty. And you could basically see how carefree she can be, like how without the cameras, without the pressure of life, you could basically see this is like her mind like taken apart. I don't know how to describe it any other way, but it's like it's like this is her in her teens, and you could see her still grasping on her childish self since she's only 19 and she's just trying to impress her friend. And, it's just sad that the the aftermath of that musical, or act 2 even, was what happened to her. And wala lang, it was parang surreal that they could do that to a young girl, like get her into a marriage, a loveless marriage, and then wala lang, parang they set her aside, and it's heavy talaga.
Surreal. Char. Actually, may gusto
Yan pala.
akong i-add. Since, ayun nga, us theater students, no, we can kind of relate to the way that Diana's story was told sa theater. Kasi especially Diana in her teens, di ba? She entered the royal life. Parang when we're teenagers kasi parang yun yung exploration period ng buhay natin, no? So parang to see Diana, kaedad natin siya. I mean, I'm 19 and she's 19 when she met Charles. So, hi po. Anyway, ayun, theater students kasi we explore things, no? When we want to tell stories, we explore things, we do creative stuff, you know, to be able to effectively convey a message to the audience. And yung sa life ni Diana, yun nga yung rebellious, carefree self ni Diana. Yun talaga yung parang expected na spirit na meron ng isang teenager. However, it was cut short because she had to commit sa isang napaka-seryosong bagay sa buhay niya, which is yun nga, being involved with the royal family. And actually, speaking of the dress change, I naalala ko lang kasi we were watching Diana the musical and sobrang impressed kami dun sa wedding day dress change. Tama ba, Martin? Especially you.
Yes, oh my gosh. Hanggang ngayon, hindi ko pa alam kung paano nila ginawa yun.
Oo, sis. Umikot siya tapos, nakadress na siya. we had to like, puro pause para makita ko paano yung pag-change. And then, or kaya isa-slow-mo namin. Talagang sobrang galing. Appreciate talaga yung technical aspect ng art, look through the technical aspect of creating ito. And ayun, sobrang impressed pa rin kami doon sa dress change. Baka slow-mo ulit namin yung transition. Yun lang.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pia. Yun nga, that's the same thing as what Pia said. Yes, we've had countless times of replaying it, and we still don't know how they did that costume change in like split second change. She's in a dress, and the dress is standing up. And at first, there was someone inside, but then next thing we know, wala na.
It was so seamless. Grabe talaga.
Seamless.
I would like to add lang yung sinabi ni Darcy kanina, yung it's her story, like and like it's not like Six the musical. Six the musical is basically the exact story of the Six Wives of Henry VIII. But then this one is like Hamilton, like some parts are inaccurate, some parts are accurate. But in the words of Six, it's her story.
Period! Yes!
Her story.
Yes!
Sorry, I love that. That was the best thing I made of. All right. Last but not least, I would like to add as well. So last part, like this is I think before An Officer's Wife. Diana, like it was the Queen, Diana, and Prince sitting in like a small part of the room, but then on stage it's in the it's in center stage. They were discussing about so Diana, what do you want to do? And Diana said she wants to have a divorce, but the Queen and Charles are giving reasons why you can't have a divorce and stuff like that. But as far as I know, that's the very first divorce in a royal family. That's the first divorce it's ever done. So parang it's new to them pa. They don't know what to do or stuff like that. Ayan. And one thing that caught me was what Charles said, to the point that he was already raising his voice, but he stopped when he remembered about the boys. This is not and I quote something from the show, but then it's between the lines of, but you were a great mother to our children. That's the only thing I can take you off. Parang he's thankful for Diana giving birth to two kids, two boys. Although Charles wanted the girl, my gosh, Charles. Ay! Galit mo pa ako. Okay, sorry.
Earlier nga, she was only an asset to him, which is
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was looking for that word. She was only an asset to him when it comes to giving birth, or should we say having a wife. Because remember at the very first part, it was fine when you were new, but good God, you're 32. What's a monarch to do? From the words of the queen. Prince Charles is already 32 and he still doesn't have a wife. I'm just saying that this is the fault of the parliament. This is the fault of the royal life. Like, if you're in the royal life, you have no choice but to have a wife.
Or
You
husband.
need. If you don't have it,
Nakaka-pressure.
you're done. You're done from the royal family. Like, madidisown ka. So, ayun lang. That is it for me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
surreal.
That is it for me. For my that actually adds to my closing remarks for this podcast. So Sam, do you have anything to add?
To conclude this podcast, and of course all the thoughts and insights of these wonderful people, Diana the musical, of course, does not only represent a woman. It represents Diana, a personality that represented a lot of the backstory or the ugly side, quote unquote, of the royal family. Diba? She was the one who outed everything mostly. Like what Queen Elizabeth said, she was the first one who stood up. But it already has been happening ever since. So she had the courage to take charge, to stand up and to try and to, of course, do things her way for the people of England, right? And with this musical, it is a Broadway and Netflix show. It's shown worldwide, so it does reach a wider audience compared to local musicals. So I think that also plays a big part when analyzing the play, right? So with our framework, our theory with psychoanalysis, this shows we analyze the play in this side, in where we see how each event in Diana's life affected her development as a person. It affected her in her ego and her superego. There are instances, and her character herself had many developments, many lapses, so to say, because of her early commitment at a young age in committing to be part of the royal family, which is, as they say, the worst job in England. Diana's life was not only shown in this musical, but of course there are other works or other pieces about her, like what Sis Marspia just discussed a while ago. And this just goes to show that her life is not only normal, is not the normal type of life, but it does, of course, affect a lot of people in the English world. English world. But of course, in the psychoanalysis, we also branched out to postmodern and feminism, because we did not limit ourselves just to psychoanalysis, but there are also contributing factors of postmodernism and feminism. Therefore, the spectacle of this overall play and of course, everything that was shown in the play is what gave way to what England is today and how other women view themselves as. We are not only objects to men, but we are also our own person. We have the ability to choose for our own. We have that ability to stand up, to have our own voice, no matter what job you have, no matter your role in the society. You're not limited to yourself, to your family. Diba? You have people to serve. And the people that you choose to serve is, of course, depending on you and your will and how much love you have for your country or for your people, and also how much love you are to give yourself. Yes. Thank you so much.
Ayan, okay. Thank you so much, Sam. Yes, thank you.
Yay!
So once again,
Woo-wee.
everybody, I would like to say this is the TEAtro podcast, and I am. Well, you can call me your Charlie boy. Char, don't.
No.
I am Martin Del Rosario. I am your facilitator / host for today, and I would like to say thank you in behalf of the other theater scholars here in this podcast. We would like to say thank you and good day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a
Bye,
great
thank
day.
you.
Stay safe.
Have a nice
Bye.
copa.
Birthday.
In a dress